Here we go, the news and you. What's in the news and how it affects you from a prepper perspective for November 2nd. Auto theft still on the rise. Who's responsible? People seem to want the manufacturers to build in more security, more features, harden it, harden the vehicles, make it tougher to steal. I guess if people don't want to take responsibility, we could engineer it away. Just like headlights and taillight use. The daytime running lights or fog lights on newer vehicles automatically come on, which is great. Maybe we should just have the manufacturers make it so that every time you start your vehicle, your headlights and your taillights come on. No option to turn it off. Right? If it's too much bother to increase your safety and the safety of those around you by putting your lights on, just take it away. Or speeding. Maybe we could put limiters in all the vehicles so they can't exceed the maximum posted speed. Or with all the computers in vehicles now, maybe just make it so that it knows the speed limit of the road you're on, and you can't exceed that. I guess the lessons and the point I'm trying to make is take some responsibility. It might be shared, right? Sure, the manufacturers, they should have some responsibility to make things safe and secure as much as possible, but we need to take responsibility for ourselves. And security versus convenience, it's a trade-off. I know sometimes, it still happens. You do everything you can and bad things still happen. It's life. But when you're, people, well, I didn't lock my vehicle, or I left my laptop or my phone in plain sight in my vehicle. The keys were in it. The garage doors were open. The house was unlocked. I just went to the store for a minute. Right? Yeah, it's a little bit more hassle. Close your gate, lock the front door, take that extra few seconds, put the keys in the house, lock the car when it's in the garage. Take some security steps. It's a trade-off. You have to decide, though. And if you don't want to be controlled, take control. Right? It's just like that awesome cat litter commercial. If you don't like changing your cat litter, change your cat litter. If you don't want the manufacturers and government and companies and other people to tell you what to do or to do it on your behalf, do it for yourself. Interac and e-transfers down. Well, this is nothing new. It's in the news. If it's in mainstream media and news so much, if you're not getting the message at this point, you might be a no-hoper. Have cash on your person and on hand at home at all times. Right? Be prepared for this. This is not, as they like to say, an unprecedented occurrence. This is a regular occurrence, daily, weekly, monthly, right? It's happening all the time. It's not a risk, it's an issue. The risk has a probability of it happening or not happening. It will happen again. It is happening right now. Consider using multiple banks. Right? We hear of different financial institutions maybe having more problems, or they seem to share. They take turns having the problems. Well, if you bank at several institutions, you have more options. Have various means to pay: debit, credit, cash. Maybe you don't believe in credit cards. My grandpa used to pay cash for everything, every single thing. Well, if you're like him, maybe you still want to have a credit card. You just don't use it. You have it there just for emergencies. Have a couple of different credit cards in case you get the chip error or magnetic strip error. Consider keeping some assets intangibles, right? Get things right out of the banking system. If the whole thing crashes, there was lots of articles about how, and this was a little while ago, there's been a few, but how all people's savings, they woke up and all their savings accounts, investments, everything said zero balance. But not the debts, not the mortgages, not the loans. They were still there. Those aren't going to go away. Maybe you want to get things completely out of the banking system. Gold, silver, collectibles, art, barter items, food, land, equipment, things like that. Right? Have a think about it. Priorities. There was an article on fresh water. I I don't have the subscription, so when I clicked on it, it said you can't read this unless you pay your $1.99 or whatever it was. Can't be bothered. So I did find it somewhere else, but it was just about on how Trump was talking to Rogan about diverting fresh water that Canada is apparently dumping in the ocean, or allowing to just go to the ocean down to California instead. There was another article on solar farm being denied due to impact to agriculture. And the lessons here are think of things. That's funny. I just see my typo. Think of things. Think of things in sequence. Water, food, energy. Right? In the prepper world, the rule of threes, where you live 3 minutes without this, 3 days without this, 3 months without that. Think of it in that terms. Or 3 weeks, rather, not 3 months. It's tough to go 3 months without food. If we take away farmland for energy, or we keep using crops, like corn, for example, to produce fuel, rather than for food, is that where we want to devote those resources? We use water to produce hydrogen, or in acquiring fuel, right? A lot of the methods we use to get certain resources, minerals, fuels, things like that, some of our commodities, extremely water intensive. Are we putting the priorities in the wrong spot? Right? Would we rather protect our water? Well, it seems like we're valuing energy more than we are food or water. Water will be a far bigger crisis and focal point than oil ever was. When I worked in the water sector, water critical infrastructure, talked to my colleagues all around the world on this, it is truly unbelievable. How much energy and time and thinking we devote to other things other than these fundamental base priorities. That's one of the things I like about living on the farm, is it really gets you back to what are the basic needs and priorities. Where do I need to devote my time and my energy? So let's look at that. It's just, to me, it's amazing when people say, well, let's divert water so that we can, irrigate the desert and have more farmland. Well, okay, crops, gardens, grass. You're taking the number one precious resource, water, bringing it to an area that doesn't have water. It's a desert. So you're basically going to create two deserts. Because when you stop pumping that water, let's say you're pumping it from a lake up in Canada down to some place in the States or wherever that doesn't have its own abundant water. Once you pump that lake dry, or that aquifer dry, you've created a desert, a waterless zone up where you took it from, and that new spot is going to go right back to being a desert. Just some things to think about. Thanks very much. Talk to you soon.